We just had our space rugged on the other account there, so we are trying again here. Please, Rob, Monty, if you're out there, please come join us. We apologize to everybody about that. I guess it's just the platform that we are dealing with. Um, Hopefully, we could get Monty back up here along with DC. If any of y'all are out in the audience, please request. I see DC. Okay, and now if we could get Monty back in here. Typical Twitter, or typical X, actually. I feel like it was better with Twitter, honestly.
Everyone has to take a shot anytime
Yeah.
Spaces goes down, right?
Anytime there's a space
That's the
bar,
game.
a shot, and then you end up in the hospital. Let's see. Where do we got Monty? Okay, great. Do you remember what point you were on, Rob?
I was talking how great Chunked is, how great Somnia is. You know how it is. I'm trying to remember. I think what we were talking about. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was about like
how you were getting a lot of people into the same space.
yeah,
how
yeah,
you
oh
used
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of that knowledge.
So Monty and I were like joking about there's probably a world we could build some version of Morpheus that's 100% on chain. So all the ways we compress, sending out where everyone is, like you could theoretically do that on chain as well. And we've had these conversations with the Somnia team where it's just so awesome when you don't need anything on the back end server besides the blockchain. There's something really beautiful about it. The second you add something that's not decentralized in that way, it's just a pain in the ass. Like you got to look after it. You've got to have a completely separate coding environment. So we've been having these conversations about how can we push more and more stuff on chain. So things like events right now, like they're fine, but we could probably make them even more efficient for the types of use case we have. They don't necessarily have to be persisted forever in terms of like audit logs. So yeah, we're just having some ideas about how to make sure that we can keep on building fully on-chain stuff, and not just match 3 games, but like genuine real-time worlds like voxel worlds and stuff.
Yeah, I made this post earlier this week, actually, that talked about something that happened in Minecraft a couple years ago that I thought was pretty cool. I might have even reported on it back when I was a journalist. It was basically like people inside Minecraft, inside the OG Minecraft, created a library of censored books, like books that were censored all over the world. They made like an a Minecraft library that people could go into and somehow download those books. But it's not totally uncensored because of the fact that it's still on centralized servers that could be shut down. So, if you take it to like what we're doing with no servers, it is a whole other level of censorship resistance, I guess you could say.
Completely. Herman actually sent the team that exact demo example of a project a few kind of weeks ago, and it's a great example about how chunked and on-chain voxel world stuff isn't just one experience or one game. It's probably going to be like an ecosystem of things which might relate to one another, where you might want to have your crazy PvP world, but then having an uncensored library of like sort of different kind of materials is probably a slightly different vibe, and maybe you want to put it somewhere far away, or maybe you want to put it somewhere with a slightly different rule set. So yeah, it definitely is a great example though.
Somebody else about to speak? Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead, Monty.
I think it would be it is a really cool idea. I think what you mentioned with the uncensored library is just an immediate thought that, and then the way that Chunked was built is we can import stuff from Minecraft directly into into the blockchain. So I think it's a really interesting idea to even like actually genuinely look at doing that. I think it would be really cool. For sure.
Yeah, that is. It's just something because I found it in my research and I remembered it from a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, this adds a whole other element to our kind of use cases to show people, why on chain actually makes a difference. And I think that the lack of servers is something that a lot of people don't talk about often, especially with gaming, because we're so used to this whole Web 2.5 kind of approach with Web3 gaming. Not to throw shade on that design choice, because it's opened up a lot of possibilities, but there are also even more possibilities with taking everything fully on chain. So I think we might be able to open it up for questions soon if nobody else has anything else to add. I'll let everybody request now if they want to come up and speak. Did anybody else on stage currently have anything to add to the conversation before I do that?
No, good.
No, good.
Awesome.
Oh, good.
Awesome. So we'll start to bring some people up that have been requesting. Going to start with Damien. I think looks like they might have a question here. A lot of times people just go silent when I bring them up, so you never know, but we'll see. Damien, when you are on the stage, let us know if you have a question. And please, anybody else, request to speak or leave us some comments if you have something to say. Damien, the floor is yours if you are with us. All right, we got Expect DS coming up in a minute. And then Dex Ion, I will get to you next. Let's see if we got DS up here.
Hi, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I've been following what you guys are doing, and I don't know, you probably don't know who I am. We started to build like 3 years ago on the XRP Ledger, an open metaverse platform using Unreal Engine, closely collaborating, by the way, with Rida from Inceptive Studio. I know he met Herman last week in Dubai. I also met the guys from M Squared, of course, at NFT Paris, and we're definitely interested in some kind of collab. We have also integrated multiple blockchains to our backend. But you should take a look at what we've been doing, and happy to touch base and see what we can do together with Somnia.
Thank you. I appreciate that that info. Please send us something in DMs or open a ticket in Discord, and we can talk to you about that. We also have Dex Ion coming up with a question, perhaps. Dex Ion. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Smith. As well. Yeah, that James everyone the building. Yeah, as you can all see, I'm having the purple pink on my background. I'm so bullish on what so many network have been building since the past 3 months I've discovered the network. So my question goes like this. So what are the plans of blockchain? I'll put it this way, our blockchain, because I'm actually building on the network also. I'm building should I say a Nigerian community for Somia blockchain also. So my questions are, what are the plans of the network to actually onboard users who might not really know what we are actually building? Because I feel that more words are supposed to be like pushed out there for people to really know, okay, this is what Somia network is all about. Because I feel that most users or some users are actually just doing the test nets right now. I just like, okay, doing it for the fun or trying to like get into the network without really having to know, okay, this is what Somia network is about. It's actually bringing the world on chains, actually solving so much problem that many blockchains out there are not really doing anything at all. So what are the plans of Somia network to actually onboard more users, teach them that this is what we are actually doing, these are our vision, these are our mission, and these are the problems we are trying to actually solve. So this is my first question again. Yeah, I have that question. This.
Thank you. Rob, did you have any
Yeah, I
thoughts on that?
can have a take. So yeah, I guess the question is to summarize is, how's Somnia looking to be onboarding more, non-typically Web3 people into the Somnia ecosystem? It's a great question, and I think Paul from Somnia puts it really well that there's so much focus about the technology sometimes in the Web3 space that for the average person they don't care, and then they probably shouldn't care. So with Somnia, one of the big choices made there is making it EVM compatible, which means that, you know, all the existing ecosystem of technologies and content we can just bring over to it and benefit from the high performance. And that means that the stuff that we're focusing on often is kind of more low level stuff, like working with different ecosystem partners, like, you know, exchanges and wallets, which are already existing. But if bringing this stuff to a new market is kind of more about building applications on top of those tools. So, you know, you got to first build the developer ecosystem, and then that developer ecosystem is going to build the applications that are more mass market. And there's some interesting things like, you know, partnerships with things like Sequence XYZ, which is a really easy way for people to make games that can use Somnia without having to, you know, have complicated Web3 stuff. M squared, like all of the different experiences that, you know, people are playing. So when someone's logging into a baseball game in the MLB metaverse, that's putting data on Somnia without them even realizing it. For M squared as well, we have all of our interoperability data where, again, you might be in a metaverse and without even knowing you're using Somnia in some form. And I know, like, we all love Web3 stuff. We all love blockchains. We think of the blockchain as the main character in the story. But I think success looks like, you know, this being something that's a powerful thing that's just happening, you know, behind the scenes, and people might be using it without even realizing it. I don't know if others have any thoughts.
Yeah, actually, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. Is that we were going to, you know, focus on making it as easy as possible for people who aren't Web3 native to get involved. And to your point, even to the point of where they don't even realize they're using a blockchain. And we've seen this happen with some games already. Like, you know, you have Off the Grid, for example, which, you know, you could download on the PlayStation Store and you don't even really know that you're connected to an on-chain game. And that is very much the kind of user experience that we're shooting for and that we're looking to build. So we just want to be as accessible as possible there.
I think what's unique with Somnia compared to any other chain, I had it on my Twitter thread yesterday, is the block time. So the block time is 100 milliseconds. So many Web3 games either aren't really on chain and they kind of do a lot of stuff inside of databases. But with Somnia, because it is so low latency, interacting with it, it's just like interacting with any normal application. And you know, you're looking around in Chunk, like you wouldn't know that's on chain if you were running around. If I just gave that as, oh, by the way, here's a cool web Minecraft you can play, and you know, it's fully something that has like an economy behind it, you might not even know it's backed onto Somnia. And I think that's blockchains working as expected. If you don't have wallets popping up, and if you don't have, you know, waiting around for 5 seconds for a transaction to go through.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree there. So I'm seeing another question coming through asking about the point system and the quests for playing games and stuff like that, saying that right now it's mostly social quests. That is true, and we definitely have a very I'm not sure how much I could say, but we do have an expansion of our incentive program coming up that will be very exciting, that we'll be announcing very soon, that will involve, you know, a lot more tracking of app usage and things like that. I can't give too much information away because we haven't announced that yet. But since somebody asked, I figured I would throw that in there. And I will remind everybody in the audience, if you have any questions, you could throw them in the comments or you can request to speak and come on up and we'll have a chat with you and get your questions answered. Or if you just have something that you want to share with us, feel free to do that as well. Let's see here. No more requests. I see somebody from Somnia Insights. That's not an official account, but I'm going to let them up and see if they have anything to say. I've been seeing they've been quite supportive of us recently. So let's see if they want to speak. Let's see. Maybe they declined. Okay. Well, that's fine. We can continue to talk a little bit about Chunked while we're waiting for some more questions. So it looks like we're in a pretty stable space now. You said you've solved a lot of the problems that you were kind of worried about or that people were experiencing. Is there anything kind of like in the future right now, or anything that you're kind of building towards for that? Or is it just kind of like a play it by ear and see how well received the project is at this point?
I've got a question for Monty, which
Okay.
is why can't we mine diamonds yet?
Yeah, so it's an interesting question, and I think we should see tomorrow maybe or something. We'll see. But yeah, it's a good question, and well, yeah, you've got to wait and see to find out if maybe you can mine diamonds.
It's very. So you're saying that there's nothing on chain stopping that. It's just a matter of building the right UIs and getting that in an interesting position. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's all there. Just somebody has to deploy the changes. But to the front end, the back end is all it supports everything. I just got to make sure that you can actually see the diamonds in your inventory and make the right pickaxes.
I'm waiting for the diamonds so that I can make the diamond grills, right? Like I can't build those yet until the diamonds are there.
Has to be real diamonds as well, DC, doesn't it?
Yeah. I can't build grills out of dirt, right? So
yeah, just wait a little bit, and hopefully we'll start seeing some diamond grills around. It'll be very cool.
What are some of the coolest structures that you've seen it built in there so far?
So at least for me, I love some of the pixel art people have done. I think pixel art is really cool thing that people often do in Minecraft. It's it makes sense given the voxel nature of the game, and it's been really cool to see people building that despite the lack of interesting blocks available to people. It's very cool dirt and grass sort of structures. I saw a car that was very cool, and also like a massive house castle thing in your spawn, also very cool. I like people that also build very large structures that sort of definitely you can clearly see take quite a long time. And it'd be really cool, I think, to go back when we have a good way to look at the history of the game and see that being built, just to see just the amount of effort people are putting into this is really awesome. So at least that's from my side, the things that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I saw somebody did a massive portrait of Paul, which was pretty funny.
That's amazing.
I'm not sure if any of you
is
saw
a likeness that. Uncanny. I've always thought Paul was a bit of a voxely type of guy. So
yeah, it was definitely, the team got a good laugh about that one. It was pretty good. Actually, I'm not sure if that was in Chunked. That might have been in, and now that I remember it, I think we thought it was in Chunked at first, but then it ended up like being somebody actually did it in Minecraft.
That's cool. I think for myself, it's there's some amazing stuff above the world, but if you go underneath, there's whole like underground caverns and whole underground bases that people have built as well, because we have like all of the Minecraft data down to bedrock. Like you can genuinely fall down a pit to your not to your death yet, but when you fall down there, it's not just a pit. Like there's whole ecosystems that people have built down there as well. So it's just showing like the true miningness of Minecraft.
That's pretty wild. So is the diamond aspect the only kind of gameplay difference that with this? For now anyway?
So, so as part of the diamond stuff, we've also sort of enabled some other things like lapis lazuli and gold. They both sort of can also be mined. But also we've also had been able to get a change that you can also get wool as well. So you'll be able to get colored wool of all the different colors. So you can build really cool different buildings out of anything you want. So that's stuff we've really focused on trying to get available to people. And one of the nice things is now we've found out the right way to make it so we can have more blocks if people want more core blocks added. Well, just you can ping people, random people like me or Rob or someone, and we can hopefully get that added.
So I'm curious, kind of what happens when somebody signs on as a guest? Is like a random wallet address associated with them? Is that how it works? Because I noticed like with a lot of Web3 games, there's like a lot of friction. And with this, you could just sign on and click one button and be in there and not even have to deal with anything.
Yeah, exactly. So we decided quite early that we really want, one of the big things about these games that we want to make is we want to make it so that if you don't care about the Web3 side, you can just try that, and you can really just jump in and play the game as if it was Web2. And I think that's what we need to do with these games is stop these huge barriers to entry, and get people just playing these games. And I think if they're actually good, interesting games, people will keep playing them. And then discover the Web3 elements. So I think that one of the big things that we did is added guest mode. So what that does is it uses a system from Privy, which gives you a wallet that is sort of is bound to you, but you don't see it at all. You can get the private key of that wallet if you want to, and also you can. There are also systems to sort of basically upgrade your account into a more proper Web3 account if you want to. But obviously, a lot of people just like to play the game and experience the game. But if you do want to say, actually, I instead want to use my MetaMask account for my game, you can also do that too. And so I think the value of Web3 is supporting all the options people want, rather than just forcing people, you have to use Web3 things, which inevitably will eject loads of people, which is why, you can see now in the modern video game industry, people love the concept of free to play. Now, yes, you don't capture them necessarily as well as you could, but I think once people start to play the game, then that's when they buy in. That's when they understand that these things are actually, it's worth having an account because you get to own everything. Like when you run around with your MetaMask account, it uses your MetaMask account to say that, oh, this is the person running around. This is, and we're looking at sort of ways to make sure we can integrate well with things like Somnia and other things in the future, because we want to make sure that, not only is it a game, but it's also something that you can own what you do there. And I think that's really important for identity and for giving people sort of a purpose of when they play these games.
Very interesting. And have you all been observing like the ratio of how many people are kind of signing on with existing wallets versus how many people are just jumping in and playing?
Yeah, I can actually check right now. One sec. Yeah, so I think it's something around like 50-50-ish. Maybe actually, I think it's more like 75% people are using Web3 wallets. It definitely varies depending on the time and also obviously all the different factors. But I think what we've seen is that a lot of people do like to use things like MetaMask and other wallets. But we do see, I think, a lot of people that probably just join from Twitter or they don't really know what it is, they do use that. So I think we've had probably around like about a third of people, which is a few thousand people have just used an Embedded wallet and they've just played as a guest. But also a lot of people have upgraded onto that MetaMask, or they've used MetaMask or similar wallet infrastructure to actually then own what they've done.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, I think. I was expecting maybe around 50-50 or less, so that's actually quite impressive. I think that probably the people, like you kind of said, like the people that are going to play a lot of it are probably definitely going to sign in with their wallet, but the people who are just experimenting or playing around, they might just sign on as a guest, and then maybe if they get hooked on it or whatever, they'll want to do their own wallet so they could save their progress and everything like that. Well, I guess your progress is already saved, but your record of transactions rather.
Yeah, what's cool is you can start off as a guest, and then you can always upgrade once you've done something consequential and worthwhile a link in. And I think the big thing about Web3 in general is often the onboarding for these experiences is absolutely terrible. Often you're trying to like play a new Web3 game, and it's like, oh, firstly you need gas on this random ass blockchain and bridge it from 5 different places, and like you're spending probably half an hour to even get yourself in a position where you can even have your first experience. And for us, right, we've been doing typical game dev for 10 years, and if a normal game was to do that, it would die. And it's sort of by natural selection that the game industry has learned to have amazing onboarding experiences. And I think part of getting more mainstream people onto Web3 games is it has to be as easy. You can't throw up some wallet login. You can't make people buy some weird token to even just like have a basic experience.
Yeah, people can't even make it through a tutorial half the time, so you don't want to be having to onboard them to a new technology.
Totally.
One more question before we bounce, and then I'll let everybody kind of share their final thoughts. This is a little bit of a change of topic, but I have a question for DC about how did you get your grill into Maelstrom?
That's definitely a random different question. Well, the cool part when it comes to interoperability is that Unreal Engine has a very kind of straightforward modding approach as well. So you can basically kind of look at how an existing game got created and then replace assets. And it's actually, from what I know, it's the engine that is the easiest to do that in. That's why you see so many mods when it comes to Unreal Engine games. So obviously, normally you can't just load your avatar. You cannot load those pieces in. But I am a big fan of interoperability, even like kind of forcing my way into it by creating mods. So what I did with Maelstrom, I created a mod where basically I looked at the game and it's like, oh yeah, well you cannot have avatars in here because there is no avatar. The avatars are the ships, right? You're playing with these boats. But then I was like, well, I can just replace the boat. And I think the engine that they use is older. It's the Unreal Engine 4, and I believe that they're switching and moving over to 5. So I was like, okay, well, 4 is even easier to modify. So yeah, I basically just downloaded the boat. Added, like, it has a little nice like platform that was already there. It was like, all right, this is a perfect spot, and I put the grills on top and then started the game again. And then you can like create a lot of cool content. But it's also, for me personally, every time I do that, whether that's with grills or Bored Ape or anything that you customize, I think part of it is just it makes the game more fun to play because you know that you're the only one having this specific avatar or mod or tool in there. And yeah, I think more games should allow that. I think it's like I get why sometimes like you want to like kind of limit that, but I really hope for like a future where you can load in a game and then you can load another game and then you can get the avatar from that one game into the other, and then obviously the objects and stuff like that as well. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Basically, I just hacked into the game, made some
Awesome.
modifications, and posted. I will try to post a video.
That's super cool. Yeah, and I think it really does kind of speak to what we're trying to build here as far as the composability and the interoperability. So I thought it would be good to mention that before we left.
You mentioned Off the Grid as well, and I basically did the same thing there.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So it's like it's because I think in general, like that's the kind of composable nature of Unreal Engine as well. And I hope that this keeps expanding, and then like it's the biggest hurdle that I came across is not necessarily the technology part, but it's just like games allowing that to happen, or like
yeah, getting around the jailbreaking it essentially.
yeah, like there's grills in Marvel Rivals. You can play with your grills, but I think 2 weeks ago or so they stopped that from working, and that's so. But it makes sense, right? Because you have online games, it gets very competitive. So there's always this like balance there, but I think slowly companies are warming up to it. Even Rockstar, they just posted the new GTA 6 trailer, but they acquired a giant modding platform, right? So they like there's this.
You there?
DC.
I thought we were getting rugged again. Maybe it's just DC getting rugged. Well, I guess either way, it is about time for us to wrap up anyway. Did anybody else have anything to say, or any thing you want to shill? Anywhere you want to send anybody before?
Chunk.xyz.
All right, there you go. Chunk.xyz.
Actually, I got a question for you, Mr. Vibes, which is if people want to just be chatting about what's going on in Chunked or coordinating, is there a channel in the Somnia Discord that people can go to? Like, where do people typically talk about that?
That is a good question. Let me check that right here. I believe, let me see the appropriate channel. I wish Mush was in here to help me with that. Isaac, if you know the answer to that, can you DM me? I see it out there. Okay, so we have a fun and games section. I think that would probably be the most appropriate.
I think Chunked is fun and games.
Definitely. Yeah,
cool.
I'm pretty sure this is the correct one. But yeah, the fun and games chat in the Discord channel, that's a good idea to bring up. Well, perfect. Thanks for joining us, everybody, today through all of the rugs. Thanks for rejoining us. Hopefully, smoother experience next time. We don't have a space this Thursday, but definitely join us next Tuesday and next Thursday, and we will be back at it. And thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks all.
Thank you very much.